Hi everybody, Lisa Minnini, and this week, perfectionism. It may be in your wiring. Many of the core issues that face business leaders today have to do with people, right? Who they hire, aligning the jobs with the people, and even keeping the workforce engaged. Well, all of this is easier said than done, and there are all sorts of characteristics and attributes that shape us. And one of the interesting aspects is our unique wiring. We all have human wiring patterns, and some traits are just more dominant than others. Now, your wiring can have a real impact on your success in business. Wiring tells us a lot. It tells us how people are best engaged in decision making, why others want a lot of information to make an effective decision, and how others maybe just want the critical points of information before they make a decision. Now, none of this is good or bad or even right or wrong. It just is. And we can objectively define these traits and understand how they are strengths, as well as build on those strengths and understand where there are limitations and coach to minimize them. We can also maximize the differences that every person brings by their unique wiring pattern to each organization. For example, people who have a high degree of certainty tend to have those perfectionist traits. They're conscientious, they're thoughtful, and they're careful that whatever they're responsible for is done right. Now, while this hardwiring trait can be a strength because it drives a person to produce work of great quality, it can also be a limitation if not managed. Emotionally, this often means that instead of living your life from a place of self-acceptance, perfectionists tend to be on a treadmill chasing that illusion in having everything in their lives be correct, right, or even orderly. Even some of their own belief systems that are present might be, hey, when everything is perfect and in order on the outside, I'll feel peace and ease. Or when things go wrong, gee, I personally failed. Or, hey, everything is either black or right or wrong or good or bad. There is no gray. These are some of the belief systems with people that do have those perfectionist traits. And when left unmanaged, you can become overwhelmed and can remain stuck for long periods of time because nothing's ever good enough, or maybe you don't delegate because only you can do it best, or maybe you even delay decision making if you don't have all the information, or tend to focus on the barriers or reasons you should move ahead rather than what the opportunities will bring you. And the good news, and there is good news, as many of my Accelerate Success Institute clients who are wired this way have learned, you can best leverage your wiring when you've had an opportunity to complete the work, your work, in its entirety with a high degree of precision. You often develop a particular skill or knowledge and expertise in a specialized field, and people will seek you out because of it. There's also ways to manage this trait so you can move forward with greater ease. Number one, focus on bite-sized options or phases. Now, since you have the propensity for perfection, you can get overwhelmed with every detail that you think needs to go into a project. And when you feel the weight of this overwhelm, think in terms of phases or releases. Break down a big concept, idea, or even project into bite-sized pieces and handle those pieces at one at a time, or even delegate. When one client implemented a project which seemed really overwhelming, I suggested that she implement it to a small group of people first, kind of a beta test, rather than her entire organization. Her own overwhelm was just quickly broken when taking this approach. Number two, forgive yourself. Failure is a good thing. Approach any project from the standpoint that it's just a work in progress. Don't try to make it perfect from the start. Instead, get other people's input and change it accordingly. And three, balance your thinking. Make a checklist how something will work versus creating barriers on how it won't work. Every person brings value to the team. And as a leader, pinpoint the strengths, coach the limitations, and maximize the differences that every person brings based on their unique wiring patterns. I'm Lisa Minnini. Until next week, create a great life. Bye now.